Let's talk about weekly training calls. Now, I know that we've already been through quite a bit of information. We still have a lot to go as you continue to grow and move your business forward. But there are two specific things as far as training is concerned that you need to be sure you're staying plugged into every single week. Now, outside of the fact that you have our Dream Dynasty Coach resource website that has a ton of training on it, you have your Coach Online Office that has a ton of training on it. You also have access to a page on Facebook called the Beachbody Champions page, where top coaches will go live in that page on a really regular basis, sometimes daily, but definitely weekly, to share, some training and some content and things like that. All of those things can get overwhelming. I do not want you to spend the hours that you use working your business just listening to training, but I do want to point out these two really specific weekly training calls that you need to be sure you take part of. The first is the National Wake Up Call. This is a national call that's hosted by Beachbody Corporate every Monday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. So that would be 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. There are tons of ways to listen to this call. The great thing about it, since it is, on a Monday morning in the middle of a workday, kind of at an inconvenient time, they do record the call, and there are lots of ways to listen to it back too. Be sure to check out all the links below this video to ensure that you're utilizing the way that best works for you. I personally like to hop onto the Team Beachbody 411 Facebook page and either watch it live there, or of course live videos stay up on Facebook pages, so you can go back and watch it there. There's also a podcast, there's a telephone number that you can call, just lots of really awesome ways to make sure that you have access to that call, either live or recorded. Now, one thing I will say about the National Wake Up Call, outside of the fact that it keeps you up to date with everything that's going on in the company, they do announcements and promotions, and they also do weekly recognition for coaches who have advanced to Diamond or Star Diamond every week. They do some fun little giveaways. They do have kind of a spotlight coach that will come on that call every single Monday morning and share with you some part of the business that is either working for them, some tips and tricks, some guidance. They'll share their story with you and kind of talk about how Beachbody has impacted and changed their life. These calls, and something that I kind of got wrapped up in at the beginning of my journey with coaching, these calls are not intended for you to just, come to a screeching halt and pump the brakes and redo everything that you have been working on in your business because this top coach says that they do it a different way. The purpose of these national wake-up calls, outside of the updates and announcements and things like that, is for you to be able to kind of take nuggets of information from some things that are working for these coaches' business and figure out if they will be useful for yours. It doesn't mean that you have to revamp all of your training or the way that you invite to a challenge group, but there are going to be some weeks where something just really resonates with you, and maybe, let's say you're struggling on attracting the right customers into your challenge groups. Maybe the National Wake Up Call that week is from a top coach who that's kind of their niche. Maybe they're really good at attracting the right kind of customers and challengers into their group. Well, there's some really useful information that you can use to kind of fill that gap and that hole in your business. So just listen to those weekly, either live or recorded, and be sure that you're pulling from those specific national wake-up calls the things that you need in your business. Be sure to check out the links below to know how to access all of those things and set up text reminders. You can set up text reminders via the information below, and it will send you a text 15 minutes before the National Wake Up Call to remind you that it is in 15 minutes in case you can hop on live. If not, set a reminder or an alarm in your phone to go back and watch or listen to it later. Another thing I like about watching it on the Facebook page is that you can actually put faces to names, whereas before, this is something that they just started in January, but before January, you could only listen, so there were no faces, so it's kind of fun. The other call that you need to show up live for. So the National Wake Up Call is recorded. It's in the middle of the day. I get it. It's hard. Listen to the recording if you have to. Just be sure you do it every week. The other call, our specific team's Dream Dynasty weekly call, is on Monday evenings at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. You really need to show up to this call live. Most of them are recorded and will be posted as a YouTube link in our team page. But these calls are just more effective if you show up live. We can ask questions, we can engage with each other. It's kind of like our weekly chat session where we kind of get to see each other face to face via the Zoom app, which I'll talk about in a second. And it's just a lot more effective and engaging if you can show up live to this one. So Monday evenings at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. Every week is a different topic. You can access the link to the call on our Facebook page. It is pinned to the top of our Dream Dynasty Coaches Facebook page. So be sure to check that out every week. You can just click on that link and go straight into the call. You can do it on your phone or a computer, but I'll talk about the Zoom feature in just a second, the Zoom software. Other than that, every Monday morning of our call, I will post what the content or the topic of our call will be that evening, just so you kind of have an idea. Come with pen and paper, take notes, get ready to ask questions. It's just a really fun time for us to get to hang out and learn at the same time. Those calls are typically 30 minutes, so they don't last very long at all. Kind of piggybacking off of that, Zoom is how not only all of our team calls are hosted, but a lot of our one-on-one mentor chats that you'll schedule with your upline coach and some other trainings that we do, we typically almost always use Zoom. So you can use the link below to download that specific software either to your computer, to your phone. It's really simple to use. It's kind of like FaceTime or Skype. You can turn off your camera, you can mute your microphone, you can turn your camera on, you can unmute your microphone. You can see everybody who's on the call on your screen. So it's just a really awesome, easy to use feature that we can also record on, which is another reason why we like to use Zoom. So be sure that you have alarms set for those calls, especially our Dream Dynasty team call. Set your text reminder for the National Wake Up Call. And then for our Dream Dynasty team call, I want you to mark it on your calendar. Set an alarm for every Monday night at 7:30 to remind you that in 30 minutes you have a team call if that's what you need to do. Just be sure that it's marked down on your calendar and that you set some reminders until you get in the habit of every Monday night that being the case. So sometimes we will have some guest speakers, sometimes other coaches on our team will present. As you guys kind of share, some obstacles and some things that you're struggling with over in our Facebook team page, that is typically what our team calls on Monday nights are kind of centered around. So if I notice that, we have a lot of coaches struggling with inviting or struggling with social media, or staying in phase one, or whatever the case may be, that is typically how we will kind of gauge what our team calls will be all about. So I hope that this makes sense. I can't wait to see you on our team calls and to hear all the value that you're learning from the National Wake Up Calls.